Good evening all, my name is Austin, and today I have a list of 10 players that I think the MLS should keep an eye on in the next upcoming transfer window. Just as a disclaimer, these are not rumors but more so just speculation of transfers that I would like to see happen. And also, just because a player is on this list obviously does not mean that they lack the quality to play in any other league in the rest of the world. This is all just for fun, but if you viciously disagree with anyone on the list, please leave a passionate and typo-filled argument in the comment section below. But without further ado, let's get into it. First up on the list, taking the number 10 spot, is Alan Velasco, an 18-year-old Argentinian winger who currently plays for Club Atlético Independiente in the Argentine Premier Division. Since his promotion to the first-team side at the age of 16, following his progression through the youth ranks, he has been a regular appearance maker, chalking up a total of 31 with 6 goals and 3 assists to show for himself. Standing at 5'6", Velasco is mainly known for his adept playmaking ability and tight ball control. He's a player that won't be in Argentina for long, with clubs from Europe undoubtedly looking for his signature. Like other South Americans before him, the MLS could be a perfect launching point for a career in Europe. In fact, one MLS club has already tried to sign him. Atlanta saw a bid for Velasco rejected by his club that was just $9 million short of his $23 million release clause. Other clubs that could also put up the cash and would more desperately need him, like LA Galaxy, should keep an eye on Velasco in the coming months. A young and upcoming talent could be a far better investment than an aging star, and considering that LA Galaxy lost a playmaker and fellow countryman Christian Pavon due to rape allegations, Velasco could be a welcome addition to a team that may well suffer from a player of his quality's absence. Next up, taking spot number 9, is Tyler Boyd. The New Zealand-born U.S. international player has seen his career take him through New Zealand to stops in the Portugal, Australian, and now Turkish leagues. However, recently, due to squad regulations in Turkey that limit the amount of foreign players you can have on a team, he was forced to sit out of all matches for around 11 match days, which saw him loaned from his parent club of Beşiktaş to Sivasspor, also in the Turkish league, where he has scored 5 times in 11 matches. Boyd, as a winger, is known for his speed and willingness to take a player on in a 1v1. While he has had some good showings in the past, they have been more sporadic in the past 2 years, which has seen his market value drop rather significantly. If he wants to try to fight for a spot on the U.S. men's national team for the upcoming 22 World Cup qualifiers and hopeful tournament qualification, he could probably benefit from a move to the MLS, where his quality would surely see him gain a more consistent form to challenge players like Reyna or Pulisic or even Weah and Sargent, who have made appearances on the wing before. There are many teams that could use additional quality on the wings, like Minnesota, San Jose, New York Red Bulls, to name a few, and a player like Boyd could cost significantly less than most other designated player targets out there. For number 8, I've gone for Trent Sainsbury. Now at the age of 29, the Australian international is playing for KV Kortrijk in the Jupiler Pro League in Belgium. His career has seen him play for several clubs across 3 continents, racking up a total of 224 appearances for club and 47 for the Australian national team. And Sainsbury should be on some MLS clubs' radars, considering that his contract is up in June of 2022. With many MLS clubs being weaker in the defensive department, he could certainly do a job for any side. A club like Charlotte FC, for example, could be the perfect destination for Sainsbury, as fellow Australian international Riley McGree has already signed an agreement with the MLS expansion side that's set to begin play in 2022. His experience could be a key component for the new side as they look to fill their roster, and signing him on a free transfer could really help the club while they continue to bolster the team in a transfer market with increasingly inflated price tags on players. Coming in at number 7 is Andre Gray. The English-born turned Jamaican international will probably still feel that at 29 years old he still has something to prove in the Premier League or Championship in England. After all, his current club of Watford are about to be promoted back to the Premier League. With his goals on the season totaling at only 4 and 22 appearances, his spot on the team may be up for grabs. Watford will surely be looking to strengthen on those numbers now back in the top flight. MLS clubs should be monitoring that situation, considering the fact that his contract runs out in June of 2022. Gray could be a free transfer steal for almost any club in need of a striker. and Gray will be wanting to prove he deserves a spot in the Jamaican national team starting 11, especially as other Jamaican forwards like Kemar Roof and Shamar Nicholson have been performing excellently of late. MLS could be just the opportunity Gray needs to find consistent scoring for him, and with his ability to also turn out on the wing, he could be a versatile pick for many sides. At number 6, I have Juninho Bacuna. The Curaçao international plays for Huddersfield Town in the EFL Championship and the Curaçao national team. Bacuna is a center midfielder who leans more towards the attacking side, and he is known for producing moments of brilliance in a game, but also for having rather lackluster performances. He is a player that definitely has the potential to be a match winner and the quality to shape a game through his playmaking abilities, but given his inconsistent performances in the championship, he could maybe try to look for a change. However, he is a critical piece of the Huddersfield setup. He's appeared in 39 of their games this season, starting the majority of them, and he's recorded 5 goals and 3 assists in the process. However, a club like Philadelphia could be the perfect option for him. With Bedoya aging at center mid and Fontoya there to challenge for a position in the attacking midfield role, Bacuna could be a final piece to an already exciting attack in the side of Philadelphia. And with a player like Jamiro Montero alongside him as attacking support to connect with, he could get a lot more out of his play. With the MLS seeing more young midfielders coming into the league and developing their game, like Caceres Jr. from New York Red Bulls or Atuesta from LAFC, it could be just the move Bacuna needs. On to number 5 now is the one and only Tim Ream. The 42-capped U.S. international has seen his club career take him from a start in St. Louis University in Missouri to the MLS with the New York Red Bulls, and then off to the Premier League and lower divisions of England with Bolton and Fulham. The club he has turned out for the most, however, is Fulham, with 207 appearances spread across 6 seasons. Fulham's seasons in the Championship are where Ream brought his best performances, which saw him get call-ups to the U.S. men's national team. And while a bit inconsistent and sometimes guilty of crucial errors on the international front, he has largely been reliable for Fulham, continuing the American player legacy found at the club. Now at 33, though, and only making 8 total appearances out of all competitions this season, Ream could be looking to bring his career back stateside. And what better way to do that than to go back to his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri. With St. Louis City set to begin their season in 2022, Ream could be the perfect defensive acquisition, given his experience playing in England and the potential for him to have more consistent game time and a possible leadership role within the club. Really, any MLS team should keep an eye on Ream in the coming months as Fulham attempt to fight to stay in the first division. Regardless of whether they get relegated or not, Ream could be open for a move that could see him improve pretty much any team in MLS. Number 4, and now yet another defender for the list, is Eliakim Mangala, an experienced center back who found a start in Belgium and then made notable stops in Portugal with Porto, Man City and Everton in the Premier League, and now Valencia in Spain. Mangala's career seemed to be taking off for him after his move to Manchester City in 2014, but since 2016-17, he has not seen more than 9 league appearances in a season since due to injuries, suspensions, and a lack of squad selection. With now only a few months left in his contract at Valencia, which is set to expire in June, he could be a wonderful addition to any club that is struggling come the mid-season transfer window. His signature might not come cheap, but given that an MLS club could sign on a free transfer, it could improve their chances greatly. At 30 years old, he could still have more to offer, especially if he's given regular league minutes and can stay healthy. And a team like Montreal, for example, could really benefit from bringing in Mangala. With other French speakers around him, it could improve his transition to the club, and he could bring experience to a defense that both is young and fairly average in comparison to the rest of the league. But regardless the club, Mangala is definitely one to keep an eye on. At number 3 is Panamanian goalkeeper Luis Mejia. Mejia may be most remembered by Americans for his save in a penalty shootout when the U.S. faced Panama in the Gold Cup in 2015. Panama went on to win that game, securing 3rd position in the competition. But at 30 years old, Mejia has bounced around clubs, mainly in Uruguay, with small stints in Spain and France. Mejia could be an option for an MLS club, as he could possibly leave for cheap and not take up a designated player slot, but rather an international player slot. He could be an upgrade on an aging Brad Guzan at Atlanta, for example, but really has the quality to be the starting shot stopper at probably about half of the MLS teams. Definitely one to keep an eye on. And now at second is a player who has actually played in the MLS before, and fairly recently, Jordi Cantilla. Cantilla is a Spanish center midfielder and playmaker who came up through the youth academy with Barcelona. After loan moves through Spain and a short spell out in France, Cantilla came to Kansas City. In his appearances with the club, he was a good performer, just starting to find his feet in the league, and then Kansas parted ways with the midfielder, which saw him sign with Puerto Rico FC for a short time before the NASL folded in 2017. He now plays with FC St. Gallen in the Swiss League, and with only 2 months left on his contract at the club, could be looking for a move elsewhere. He has been playing well recently, and there could be European teams looking to pick him up on a free, but if he would be willing to make a return to the MLS, there are several teams that could use a player of his abilities. Many of the Midwestern teams could still use Cantilla, notably Nashville, one of the new additions to the league, who has struggled a bit on the creative front. But with more money flowing around the league than his previous time here, his options could be limitless, and he may well be interested in making a return should the right team come in for him. And now finally at the number 1 position is Eric Gutierrez. This one was exceptionally difficult, as Gutierrez still has the opportunity to find his breakthrough in Europe, and the argument could definitely be made that he shouldn't come to the MLS just yet. However, many players have been able to use this league as a proving ground in recent years, like Jack Harrison, who's now at Leeds, Tyler Adams now at Leipzig, and Alberth Ellis of Boa Vista, to name a few. And the case for Gutierrez to consider it could be made. The center midfielder started his career with Pachuca, where he really made a name for himself with 23 goals and 26 assists in 175 appearances. That earned him a move to PSV, where he had a solid first season with 3 goals and 4 assists in the league, but since then has seen his production and appearances drop off significantly, with only 1 goal in 23 appearances in the league in the 2 seasons since. Other than a knee injury, which saw him miss a decent chunk of the season, Gutierrez's lack of involvement seems to have more to do with the fact that PSV's midfield is packed, with all other players of the same position racking up more starts and minutes overall. Most of Gutierrez's appearances come off the bench, and of his time at PSV, he has only participated in an average of 47% of the entire 90-minute matches that he was available to play. A player like Gutierrez could potentially really benefit from coming to the MLS. He would most likely be able to sign a contract which requires him to make a certain number of appearances, and could really use something like a 2-year contract to help rebound his career to the heights of winning the Mexican League and CONCACAF Champions League with Pachuca. Somewhere like LA Galaxy or LAFC could be a perfect fit for him to make that happen, with LA Galaxy having aging playmakers, notably Victor Vazquez and Sasha Kljestan, and LAFC's young and vibrant midfield to potentially combine with. And regardless of the team he chose, both would offer the guidance of experienced Mexican national team players in the form of Carlos Vela, Chicharito, and Jonathan Dos Santos. Some might consider it a backwards move at this point in his career, but with the level of competition that the MLS presents and the fact that on any day it comes down to the team with the best quality in that set of 90 minutes, it could be exactly what he needs to showcase his quality and regain his form. And it might well be just what he needs to contend for a starting spot in the Mexican national team's very solid and experienced midfield. With his history of winning the CONCACAF Champions League with Pachuca, he could be a valuable asset to any MLS team that's looking to win the tournament in the coming seasons. It would definitely take a designated player slot to get him through the door, but as long as the price wasn't astronomical, it would definitely be of interest to any MLS club. So that's it for the list, and if you've made it this far in the video, why not leave a like and maybe comment a player that you think I should have added to this list. If you disagree with any of the ones that I have added, please let me know. I'd be happy to have a conversation about it. But that is all for today. Thank you, and goodbye.